Hi, I want to go over some tips and tricks on how to get your Arduino board physically set up in the classroom. And I've been using these off and on, and I've noticed some issues with giving these to students. And I'm just going to give you some tips and ideas on how to get it set up for a little more ease of use, I guess is what I would call it. So the first thing I notice when I'm working with the kids is when they're trying to have the board set up and they've got all these wires connected and they're trying to set it up on the desk, everything's sliding around, things come unplugged. So if we can have everything stationed down so that wires don't come undone, it makes life 1,000 times easier. And this is what I'm talking about. So, I mean, everything connected all in place. This is actually board, actually it is this one. I use this in our Mapping the Ocean 4 lesson with the kids, and I made 2 additional boards because I anticipated some problems, and I thought I can just hand them this board and I can fix the other one to get them back up and running. But I had about 7 or 8 of these that went through 115 students, and we never even got to the other 2. Nobody unplugged anything. The only issue that we had were batteries dying, and that's an easy fix. So this works. It is tested in a classroom with 7th graders, and they were definitely not the easiest on them. So I'm going to show you how to set one of these up. If you're wondering what this is, it's just simply one of those whiteboards, Expo brand whiteboards. I picked them up on a sale forever ago, and I don't use them enough in my classroom, and I have extras in case I do. So these are my extras. I'm going to try setting up a new one today in my demonstration to you using a clipboard. Now, this is a breadboard, and on the back of these breadboards, there's actually usually adhesive. If not, you can pick up some 3M adhesive, but this stuff is pretty strong. If I tear this off of here, it'll probably damage the clipboard, but I'm good with it being on there. And so I just stick them on there, and we've got them ready to go. So again, cheap, easy clipboard. Now, the next step of this, you want to make sure that if you're using a schematic with your kids, like if you're going to have them make all the wired connections, you want to make sure that your placement of the Arduino board is in the right spot. So if in your diagram you have it off to the side, you probably want to mount it off to the side. If in your diagram you have it up top, you want to mount it up to the top. So this is where I usually place mine, simply because the connections are easier. So I'm going to move my camera down here. So here's the board. And there is no adhesive on the back. I could use these screw holes to mount them, but I find the simplest and easiest thing to do is use some hot glue. This stuff works beautifully because it's really easy to get off of here. And I'm not going to coat the bottom of this, but I do just put a dot in 2 of the corners, just a nice little bubble. It won't mess with the connections because it's not metallic. So if you do get it on those electrodes, no worries. And I like to mount them pretty close. Takes a second for the glue to kind of work its way down. Good to go. Okay, so that's dry and we're good to go. All right, the next thing that you're going to want, like I have this sensor that I purchased, and it doesn't have any wire ends that will move in. So like the ones you get with the kit, this prototyping kit, it has these nice pronged inputs, so you can just slide them in here, and not all of these come with them. So there's a few different ways that you can use, and I've tried quite a few of these. If you're used to electronics or household repair, you can just use a small wire nut. You could use a spade connector, the male-female spade connector, or you could use a splice. Now, all of these, with the exception of the wire nut, are permanent, and I think they're kind of bulky, and I haven't had a whole lot of luck with them staying put. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what I do. I'm going to strip this wire. Okay. So it's not a solid wire. They're the many different fibered ones. So here's what I do with it. Is I take these wires and I kind of put them together, and I get one of these connectors, right? Our prototyping connectors, the other sides I'm leaving open. And then again, I just take my glue gun and I just insert it down into the tip of the glue gun. Again, kind of a semi-permanent solution here. We could just clip the wire to get a new end on it. But this is what I've done in the past, and I haven't had any issues. You just got to make sure that they stay connected. Touching, I usually twist the wires together, and you are good to go. And that's, hot glue is pretty robust. So I'll show you that connection here. I did that one kind of hastily. But this is what I've got going on each one of my wire ends here. On this sensor, you can see that they're, maybe you can't, you can see that they're just hot glued together. Excellent. So now we've got the board set up. You can have your connections for your temperature sensors or whatever types of sensors you're using. And then you've got a nice workspace for your kids to work to complete their assemblies. And if you need extra storage space, this one's got a nice hook. You can just hook it right on the wall and let the kids walk out, so you don't have to worry about them getting smashed or anything getting unplugged. Excellent. I hope these tips helped you out.